Jeremy Roenick's in the Hall of Fame. Is Tkachuk next? That, along with an ASU and Tucson Roadrunner update on this episode of the PHNX Hockey Show.
Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Thank you. Oh, it's Wolf Wednesday here on the PHNX Hockey Podcast, coming to you live from Studio K. Join the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply. At participating locations, visit circlek.com for details. I'm Leah, here with Petey and Shane. How's everyone doing? And we know how
honestly,
Shane's doing.
If I heard that noise in the wild, I'd be on the way to the emergency vet. What? Like,
dude, I saw this video last night of this guy that was camping, and he heard wolves circling his tent, and they were laughing. It was the most terrifying. I would simply just like close my eyes and transport to somewhere else.
Wow.
It's terrifying.
Yeah, that is terrifying.
Happy Wolf Wednesday, everybody.
Happy Wolf Wednesday. Wow. Thanks so much for being here, everyone. We have Roaring Fork in the chat, Bill in the chat. As always, don't forget to hit the like button on this video. Oh, we got the wolf shirt on full display. There we go. All right, we brought the energy today. We're going to talk about the Hockey Hall of Fame. We had Jeremy Roenick join. Obviously, he spent a good chunk of his career with the Phoenix Coyotes, and he made a case in his speech for Keith Tkachuk. We'll talk about that. We're going to check in on Tucson and ASU, talk about the NCAA rule change and how it could potentially impact ASU and the whole college hockey landscape. And we're going to close the show by talking about more Alex Meruelo drama because it never seems to end.
but it's fun.
It is fun.
Steve, can you do something for me real fast? Can you sing this comment?
All in all, he's just another Yote in the hall.
Another Yote in the hall.
Thanks.
All in all, he's just another Yote in the hall.
Banger.
Thank you for that.
If you don't come to this show for hockey, you might as well come for the entertainment.
I mean,
Leah, can you name the band?
no.
Damn it.
Who is it?
It actually made a
Pink
movie
Floyd.
on it, but you should probably be better if you were. Never mind.
All right, let's get into the
Moving
show.
We do have sponsors that take care of that.
Jeremy Roenick is officially in the Hockey Hall of Fame, becoming just the third Coyote to enter the Hall of Fame following Mike Gartner and Brett Hull.
Yeah, it's funny though, but Leah, of those, like Mark Gartner was a Coyote. Like I
Yeah.
felt like he contributed. Like Brett Hull really
No.
played 9 games.
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
But he still is on
But he
the
is
Hockey
technical.
Hall of Fame website
Yes.
under Phoenix Coyotes.
There you go.
There are no Arizona Coyotes, only Phoenix
Not yet.
Coyotes. Not yet, yeah.
2.0, maybe somebody else will be. Maybe
mean-
Austin Matthews will go into the Hall of Fame
As a Coyote.
an Arizona Coyote.
Jeremy Roenick had a prolific NHL career, 1,363 games played, 1,216 points. In that time, he had 454 of those games in Phoenix from 1996 to 2001, and then again in 2006-07. In his time here, he had 152 goals, 227 assists, and 379 points, and a couple other fun little Leah's Nuggets back. Here we go. He scored at least 24 goals in each of his 5 seasons with Phoenix. PD, you were here at the same time as JR. What do
Yeah.
you remember about him? We'll start with him on the ice before we talk about him
It's
off
funny
the
because
ice.
when you talk about him on the ice, he's a guy, offensive talent, right? Skilled guy, could help with your offense. But I think what gets forgotten with the way Jeremy Roenick played on the ice is how tough he was. And I don't mean tough like dropping the gloves tough. I mean his ability to go into the corner with a chip on his shoulder and be able to come out with the puck. Like, he was a tough player for a guy that was that highly skilled. And it was funny because it was almost like the odd couple on that team. Because when you talked about Jeremy Roenick on those teams, you had to talk about Keith Tkachuk. And Keith Tkachuk was the bull in the china shop. Get to the front of the net and just bowl people over to score. And JR was more skilled, more talented, more graceful, and his ability to handle the puck was better. But But beyond that, he played the game the right way. Like you wanted to root for him at times. I know he's a little much and maybe a little bit of that bravado and arrogance, but that's what made him such a really, really good hockey player. He's a guy that you could kind of, if you needed a goal, you're down by a goal with under a minute to go, it's JR. Like, if that's the guy you want on the ice, you want to have a player like that with his offensive ability and his determination and grit out on the ice. And he was a fun player to watch. So, yeah, I'm excited that he's in the Hall of Fame and another Coyote to add to the list.
Yeah, absolutely. He was just such a flashy player. I think he also did so much, not only for the Coyotes, which we'll talk about in a second, but just for the persona of American hockey players in the National Hockey League, at a time. And the landscape's totally different now, but it used to be like, it's all Canadians and then a couple Americans, a couple Europeans. And now it's not like that. But at the time, JR was one of those guys who kind of made a name for the American players in the NHL. So I think that alone also lends itself to the success that he had in his career, besides just what he accomplished points wise. And especially, I know the majority of his career was spent with the Blackhawks, and he's technically going into the Hall of Fame as a Blackhawk rather than as a Coyote, because it wasn't the prime, or I guess, or the majority of his career. But it did play a significant role in his career as well.
Yeah, but you talk about him, and I forgot about his success with American hockey and how important he was to American hockey. And you look at him, he's the 5th all-time leading scorer for American-born players in the National Hockey League. Charles Modano, man, I know number 1 is Brett Hull, which I still
kind of a Coyote,
kind of a Canadian, kind of a American. It's
kind of a Canadian, kind of an American, kind of a Coyote.
Kind of, exactly. So, but you look at Modano, Kane, Housley, those are, there's no doubt those guys are red, white, and blue, and he's right there at number 5 all time. And I think he was very proud of those moments. And the 1996, the World Cup team in 1996, he was a big part of that team. He did a lot for that. But to your point, it's not just the guy on the ice. It's the guy off the ice. And his styles. I mean, he's that personality. He's that persona. He's that bigger than life personality and ego. And that was JR. And Keith Tkachuk used to call him PR instead of JR because he was always doing the media, and he wanted to do every interview JR could get. He wanted to do it. And so they called him Styles around the locker room because he was the fancy guy with the shades on. But don't mix the ego and the arrogance with who he was, because it's funny. Like, I was just getting started in working the NHL during those heydays of those teams, Tkachuk and Roenick, and I know they knew who I was because I was there. But years later, after JR had become JR and he'd a stint on TV and he's a big deal, we passed in the hallway on the road at a rink somewhere. And it was, I just kind of gave him a nod, kind of like, well, I know he knows who I am, but not really. Yeah. Stopped. How are you doing? What's going on, man? How was your son? Named my son by name.
Wow.
And you go, okay, he gets it. Like, that was JR. It's not that arrogant SOB. He's not.
Yeah.
He unbelievably thoughtful, really good human being. And when I talked to Rich Nairn, who was the vice president of communications for the Coyotes for forever and director of PR under JR, and he said Jeremy Roenick is one of the best guys off the ice with hospitals, fans, and media that they've ever had in the history of this team.
Wow. Yeah. Let's talk about what he did, because, it's funny. We're watching this kind of happen right now in Utah, that creating a new NHL market of a city that's never had it before. And the same thing happened when the team arrived to Phoenix in 1996. And Jeremy Roenick kind of became that ambassador. You talk about him being nicknamed PR. Like, he was the one going out into the community and raising awareness about, hey, this is what the NHL is, this is what hockey is. Not to say that there weren't hockey fans here in the Valley, but it was, in the mid 90s, the NHL wasn't even as big as it was in the US today, let alone in a state like Arizona. Again, the landscape has evolved. But Jeremy Roenick was a huge part of that outreach at the time.
Yeah, and it's funny because he liked being that guy.
I'm sure.
And he's that guy today.
Yeah.
And let's face it, when you look at the Hall of Fame I believe part of the reason that he is in as early as he is in is part of his personality, because people know who he is. People are aware of who JR is, and I think that helps sell his way into the Hall. But he always he always remembered the fan. And when I was talking to Rich today, it's interesting because we started talking about how important the fans are to the sport, and not just this sport, but any professional sport. And Jeremy Roenick understood that. And he talked about at the Hall of Fame where there was a story where Gordie Howe threw snow on his ice, or took snow off the ice, threw it on his head when he was a little kid, watching Gordie Howe practice. And he was just a little kid and thought that moment was big. And he said, that's important to engage the fans. So he wanted to do that and promote the game and sell the game and be that personality for the game. And he understood how important it was to the fans. He was the guy that always stayed after to sign autographs. If they did a team signing, he would stay till everyone was signed. He understood that it was important to treat this as a game, as a sport, and have fun and sell it to the fan. And so we started to, when I was talking to Rich, we were starting to say, okay, who is that personality in the league right now? Who's that personality that sells the game? And we started going down the list of the best players. Sidney Crosby, he's okay on media, but he's an introvert.
Yeah.
McDavid's an introvert.
Yep.
Matthews is an introvert.
Yeah.
Like, who is that guy now that you go, oh, he's a fun guy?
Maybe
like Paul Bissonnette, like that guy, but he's not playing.
Yeah.
Like,
maybe like Matthew Tkachuk.
Matthew Tkachuk, I think, is a really good one.
Yeah.
And you think of the person, Alex Ovechkin.
Yeah.
I think he understands the assignment and he gets the personality. The one we came up with is another Hall of Famer is the goaltender Marc-Andre Fleury.
Yeah.
That he understood it's okay to have fun
Yeah.
and include the fans. Marc-Andre Fleury, when they went to Pittsburgh as the Minnesota Wild a week ago, they were practicing at the Pittsburgh Penguin practice facility that has multiple sheets of ice. And when they got done practicing, he walked by the other rink and there was a youth hockey team playing. And instead of going to the locker room and trying to avoid it and stay out of the attention, he jumped on the ice.
Wow.
And he played goal with these teenagers.
That's awesome.
What a moment for those guys. That's a guy that understands that it's important to embrace the fan for this game. And there are people, won't name names yet, maybe someday after a couple of cocktails.
Maybe in the Discord for diehards.
But there are some guys that aren't that way. That aren't that way that understand the importance of the fan or the media or sending the message or those personalities. And it's important in the game. And I think NHL's trying to do that, but they need to do better. They need more guys like JR.
Yep. Well, we talk a lot about Tkachuk when we talk about Jeremy Roenick. And in Jeremy Roenick's speech on Monday night, he actually, and we've actually talked on the show about Keith Tkachuk's case for being in the Hockey Hall of Fame. Jeremy Roenick alluded to that in his speech, as well as a number of other things. So we're going to play the bit of his 20-minute speech, the 1 minute that he spent on his time with the Coyotes. But he did mention Tkachuk. So here it is.
I had an amazing experience as a Coyote. Mr. Burke, thank you for believing in me. Thank you to all the Coyote fans for your support. And I'm so sorry that you've recently lost your team. It makes me very sad. But good luck to the Utah Hockey Club. They're always part of my life. There I got to play with the legend himself, Keith Tkachuk, the most intimidating, confident, and vocal person I've ever met. Well, other than myself, I guess to say. Big Walt, as we called him, had 2 rules. Give Walt the puck, and remember, give Walt the puck. Nobody challenged his teammates or took care of trainers better than Big Walt. And I'm very confident that someday soon, he'll be standing at this podium doing the same thing that I'm doing. I love you, Walt. Found it! Inside joke. He's laughing right now.
Yeah, so really nice, I think, of JR to acknowledge Keith Tkachuk in his Hockey Hall of Fame speech.
That was really touching, actually, isn't it? And you could see how important that was to JR. And I think those two, like we said, like they played together at the right time in this franchise, and they played together for Team USA. They were just different personalities. They're different kinds of players, but yet they really, really fit. And when you look at their numbers, Keith Tkachuk's numbers are better. Like Keith Tkachuk, there is only one player above Keith Tkachuk in goals scored in the history of the league that is not in the Hall of Fame, and that's Patrick Marleau, because he hasn't eligible yet. He needs to be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I
Keith
agree.
Tkachuk needs to be in the Hall of Fame. He's got 533 goals. He's got to be in the Hall of Fame. And it's not just that; it is the stuff that he did with Team USA and what he did throughout his international career as well. It's not just his NHL career. And I'm so tired of hearing didn't win a cup. And I'm going to tell you this: it's a team game. If it was tennis, and dude didn't win,
Yeah.
not a Hall of Famer. It's tennis or golf. I get it.
Yeah.
It's a team game. So Connor McDavid has been in the league, I don't know, 9-10 years now. Does he have a cup? No. But maybe he never makes it back to the finals. I don't know.
But he's a shoo-in for
But
the
if he
Hall of
doesn't
Fame.
make the Hall, if he doesn't win a Stanley Cup, can he not be in the Hall of Fame? Of course he's in the Hall of Fame.
He's
So can we stop
McDavid's about to
talking
get his
about that?
1,000th NHL point.
Yeah, can we stop talking about that?
Yeah.
Keith Tkachuk should be in the Hockey Hall of Fame, period. And what a touching story, and it is funny. The way I remember the quote of the rules was rule number 1 is get me the puck. Rule number 2, don't forget rule number 1. And that's what he would tell rookies as they came through the locker. Dude was intimidating, and you don't see that in this league anymore.
Yeah.
Like the voices in that room that I, as a 27-year-old employee, was literally terrified to walk through the room. Like I'm not making that up. Like I sick to my stomach if I had to walk into the locker
my
room when the
God.
players were in there. It was Dallas Drake, Keith Tkachuk, Jeremy Roenick, and Rick Tocchet. You had no chance. Like whatever was on their mind that day, you were going to get criticized about your haircut, your suit, like whatever it was. Man, you better be ready. And they came in hard and hot. Like you had to have thick skin, and you don't do that in the game anymore. I'm so glad I got the opportunity to be around those kind of people.
Yeah.
Because if you had a problem, JR and Keith Tkachuk and Rick Tocchet are going to tell you there's a problem on the ice. They self-police their own team, and there just isn't enough of that anymore. So congratulations to JR and get Keith Tkachuk on the radar. Good sign for him, though. Mike Gartner, former teammate, is now the president of the Hall of Fame.
Oh, yeah.
committee.
They just completely shuffled the whole
and you know who else is
selection
voting
committee.
now?
Jerome McGinley, I saw, was on there.
And Olchuk.
Oh.
Former teammate with the Winnipeg Jets.
Yeah.
Eddie
So,
Olchuk.
I mean,
So now's the time.
PHNX Hockey
Wall.
is fully in support of Keith Tkachuk making the Hockey Hall of Fame. And by the way, I just want to acknowledge, I think it was really great that JR acknowledged Coyotes fans and the loss of the team. He didn't have to do, once again,
really
he didn't have to do that. It was a really classy move. I've actually seen Jeremy Roenick around town. Like when I was in high school, I would see him at the ice den with his kids. You know, he was really involved in the hockey community here. So if you haven't watched the whole speech, check it out. You could just search it. It's on YouTube. Really great stuff. So congrats to Jeremy Roenick. Keith Tkachuk, you're next. And when you make it, we will dedicate a whole show to you as well.
We will.
Keith Tkachuk. So once again, congrats to Jeremy Roenick. Coming up, we're going to talk about the Tucson Roadrunners, ASU Hockey, NCAA eligibility, and later in the show, we're going to get to Alex Meruelo drama. All of that coming up after this break. If you're looking to make a big change, we're approaching holiday season, treat yourself with the gift of new flooring with our friends over at Empire Today. They do great work. They care about the quality of their work. They care about the job that they're doing. They did the flooring here in our office and our other studio. We've had people come in and compliment how great it looks. That's because Empire Today, like I said, they care. And also, they make it so easy. You don't have to go to those big box stores. You can just do it right from the comfort of your own home. So make sure when you are giving yourself the gift of a new floor, which completely can transform your entire home, check out Empire Today. And right now, you can schedule a free in-home estimate. Why would you not just do that? Free in-home estimate, find out what it's going to cost. And right now, all listeners can receive a $350 off discount when they use the promo code PHNX. Restrictions apply. See empiretoday.com/PHNX for details. I see you have the Gila River Resorts and
Gila River Resorts
list.
where you do you. It's not just about the gaming floor. It's not just about the largest sports book inside a casino in the state of Arizona, which they do have at the Wild Horse Pass Casino. It's about the entertainment. And I'm telling you, if you want to see live entertainment in the Valley, there is no better place than the theater at the Wild Horse Pass Resort and Casino. Night Ranger's coming just before Thanksgiving. And if you don't know Sister Christian, do you know Sister Christian?
No.
Well, you should. Google it. Google it. Night Ranger's coming. And then, you know what else is coming? In December, just before Christmas, Smokey Robinson. Not the Smokey Robinson experience. The Smokey Robinson is playing at the Wild Horse Pass Casinos in the middle of December. Make sure you check it out at GilaRiverResorts.com/entertainment.
Make sure you do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playatgila.com for more details. We'll also be out there this Sunday for a Suns away game watch party at Wild Horse Pass. So join us.
Funner. Let's go.
All right. Well, before we move on, we do have an extremely generous super chat from our friend Roaring Fork, who sent us $50 and said, I will be starting a new job next week that will entail me, gasp, going into the office. Thanks to the entire PHNX hockey crew for making lunchtime so enjoyable over the years. From here on out, you'll be with me on ever after work run via audio. Roaring Fork, you're the best. OG diehard. Maybe you can sneak in the live show, take a bathroom break at lunchtime. But we appreciate you always, sincerely.
Good luck at the new job.
Yeah, good luck at the new job.
Yep.
One of the OG diehards.
OGs.
So thank you to Roaring Fork. Also, an ASU season ticket holder. We'll talk about ASU here in a little bit. But let's start with the Tucson Roadrunners, Petey. Last weekend versus San Diego, 1-1 split. They now have a 5-5 record. They are exactly 500, 7th place in the Pacific Division. Artem Duda scored his first professional goal over the weekend, which is great. But they have an opportunity this week. They actually play 3 games this week, including one tonight at Ontario. Ontario is 4-6 and 8th in the Pacific, so just 1 place behind Tucson, so that's important. And then this weekend, the Roadrunners play at Henderson, who is currently last in the Pacific. They're 3-8, so another huge opportunity for Tucson to pick up some points. I know you've been chatting with head coach Steve Potvin, so what are your thoughts on where Tucson
one of the things,
is?
this was a big weekend at home with San Diego coming into town. They played really well on Saturday, get the win Sunday. He said they played even better. And he said it's a tied, game's tied 2-2, puck rimmed around. The goaltender goes out to get the puck. Matt Villalta goes out to get the puck, hits the door, goes in.
No.
Late in the game, so that makes it a 3-2 game, and they get empty netters. So he said, because I was talking about Villalta, and he said, Villalta's been great. He said, Stauber's been great. So their goaltending has been really good. They're getting offense from everybody. The work ethic is there. He said a couple of lucky puck bounces either way. And he said, we're higher in the standings. Really happy with the way they're playing.
Good.
I asked about Josh Doan, a player that didn't get a point over the weekend. And he said, again, his scoring chances are there. They're just not going in for him. His work ethic hasn't changed. His attitude in the locker room hasn't changed. He's still Josh Doan. And so he said it's going to happen for him. It's going to be good. And you talk about, all the other role players. Lipkin now has 2 goals.
Yeah, we haven't brought up Sam Lipkin. 2 goals. Yeah,
2 goals now, and he's starting to find his way in the American League. And I think he said these are some big games coming up. Ontario's a winnable game tonight, but then you got to get right back out and travel to play Henderson. Yeah, and that's another good team. So you're looking at some good teams that they got to get some points at. But he's really happy with where the team is at. But again, we've talked to him enough to know that it's a balancing act between development and winning. Because he said there are some different decisions you have to make when you're trying to develop a young player versus trying to get wins using your veteran lineup. So it's a fine line trying to get guys prepared to play in the next level. And I think he's always done a great job of that. And you know what it's like when you hang up the phone with him.
You just feel like so...
I wanted
you can
to go
do
for
anything.
a run.
Yeah.
Not making that. I go, what are you doing? Because it was 7:30 California time when I was talking to him.
Yeah.
Oh, I just got done with the gym. Just done lifting weights. I'm going. I'm like, buddy, relax. And he's no, he can't relax. So I'm inspired. Didn't do anything.
My gosh.
It didn't get me enough to run. But
oh my
thought
gosh. Yeah. Well, by the way, we are going to plan a Tucson Roadrunners takeover in the near future. So we'll let everybody know when that gets planned, but I can't wait. We're definitely going to go down the I-10. We got to support the professional hockey in Arizona. We've always had a great relationship with Steve Potvin. Hopefully for our sakes, Josh Doan is down there for a bit. Obviously some other names that we're super familiar with.
I think there's one coming. I now this is off the record. This isn't from anybody. This is my personal...
off the record, saying it on our show.
Well, wait, no, that's not what I meant. There's no sources. I'm not reporting. Is that what I'm supposed to say?
Yes.
This is my own thoughts, my own opinion. There's nobody saying this. I think right now their big club, the big club for the Tucson Roadrunners has 8 defensemen on the roster. I think they're ultimately going to get down to 7. Mm-hmm. That means somebody's got to go, and there's only one guy that clears waivers right now. It's Mav Lam.
All right.
And I know they love the way he's playing up there.
Yeah.
But to me, at some point, you can't keep carrying 8 defensemen. So I think there'll come a time when you add Mav Lam to that roster down in Tucson, and then boy, howdy, look out.
Yeah, and then the roster's everything that we thought it would be.
And I might be wrong.
Minus Connor Geeky, who got traded over the summer. But you still have Mikko Montika. You still have Julian Lutz. I think he's still injured. But there's a lot of exciting young players.
Max Zuba. The goaltending, both goalies have been great. Yeah, it's a fun team to watch. If you're in check it out. If you're in Tucson, hell, if you're in Phoenix, go.
Yeah, great.
Get a
You could do
hotel.
a day trip.
You can give them plenty of restaurant recommendations in the Discord.
I absolutely can. Illegal pizza
I
is one.
won't.
We have a $20 super chat from Kimberly that says, thanks for the great Roadrunners coverage. Well, thank you, Kimberly. We appreciate it. We love checking in.
You know what? I had to do a walking and talking with a Roadrunner player.
Yeah,
Let's do that.
that'd be fun.
I'll put that on my thing next week.
Yeah.
On my wait for it. Little last minute set dressing.
Wow.
Yeah, I think we really need to do a walk and a talk. I don't know how I walk and talk if I'm here. Like, would it be awkward to carry the selfie stick for a Zoom call? Probably. You never know what I'll do. We'll think about it. Okay. Sorry.
All right. Well, as we just put up the Roadrunners jersey to block the ASU Hockey jersey, let's talk about ASU Hockey. Unfortunately, they did not have as okay of a weekend as the Roadrunners did. They dropped both games to Colorado College last weekend. Friday, they lost 4-3 in overtime in a story that we've heard so many times before. ASU up in the third, and Colorado College tied it with less than 1 minute left. I feel like that's something that we've seen again and again. I know that there were people in our Discord talking about, oh my God, like it's like living deja vu. Then it was a 3-1 loss on Saturday. Obviously, I mean, Colorado College is ranked 8th, so it's not like it was an automatic win, but they had it on Friday. They were ahead with a minute to go in the third period, Petey, and they blew it, lost in overtime. And as we know in college, overtime loss is just another loss. So tough weekend for ASU. They have been on the road a ton. They are finally home this weekend against Omaha. What do you got on ASU?
Well, here's the thing. It's funny because you get to talk to the coaches too, and they're happy with the way they're playing.
Yeah,
it's always one thing isn't going right. Like if they're getting offense, then they're not defending, and the goaltender isn't as good. If the goaltender is good, then they're not scoring. Like it just can't seem to come together. But the biggest problem for ASU is and has been all season long is injuries. And you go into this weekend, Shimmick didn't play, Sillinger didn't play all weekend, and on top of that, Lucius is still out.
Yeah,
Shane's still out, and Helm is out now. So you're looking at some of their top offensive players are out of the lineup again. And this is the team that struggled to score. I mean, you're struggling to score. You need your best players in the lineup. And so I think he's still, when I talked to Greg Powers, he's still confident. He still believes this team has the ability to make the NCAA tournament. They just need to, one, get healthy, and they need to put it all together. I think this weekend at home is going to help them. They haven't been home for a very long time. They've had one home series against Michigan, and they played well against one of the better teams in the country. They come in to play University of Nebraska Omaha this weekend, and they're winnable games. But when I say winnable games, they have to win those games.
Yeah.
And that's one
not going overtime,
right.
not split, not winning a
Gotta
shootout. Win in regulation.
And I think they understand that.
Yeah.
And I think you're starting to see some of the players that they hope to get a few of those players back again. I know Cruz Lucius is not quite ready to play yet. He's still going to be a couple more weeks. They just got to try to hang on as these guys get healthy. ASU's a better team than their record shows right now.
Yeah.
I believe that.
Yeah.
They're playing in a really good conference. If they can get out of that Colorado series with a split in Colorado College, if they can get through that last 57 seconds of that game on Friday night, if they get through that 57 seconds, they come out of that game with a split out of that arena, that's fantastic. Yeah. We're talking about 57 seconds left from this going. We're talking about this team being, they're in a good shot, good shape, good spot right now. It's 57 seconds.
Yeah.
So they just got to stack up some wins, and they got to do it now.
Yep. And the thing that we have to remind ourselves is that these are college players. So those are learning opportunities.
For sure.
Hopefully it's something they can take into account for the second half of the season, especially as they're returning home for a little stint, because they've just been on the road so much, which is a complete opposite of how their schedule was last year. Obviously, it's a team that's used to playing on the road. They were an independent for so long, but just to start on the road as much as they have, and with the injuries that they've had, it's just kind of put them in a position that maybe they didn't expect to be at this point in the season. But hope is not lost. Things are on the up. Everybody go out to Mullet this weekend and support the Sun Devils against Omaha.
Yeah, and I think it's important to get a couple of wins. We talked about the Omaha, and then guess who they play the week after that? The Denver Pioneers.
Ooh,
the
heard of
number
them?
one team in the country, national champions defending from a season ago, and they have to play them in Denver before they have their Thanksgiving break and have a weekend off. So it's important you get wins.
And a win like that can completely...
If you can get a win before Thanksgiving break in Denver...
Like that can completely change the momentum of the season too.
Buddy, Thanksgiving break
and it's not like this is a team that beat North Dakota. It's a team that beat Minnesota. Like it's possible.
It is. And Gibson Homer plays his best. They can beat anybody in the country.
Yeah.
I don't know if Gibson Homer is playing his best hockey right now, but when he does, I think the kid's amazing and he can make a difference. So never say never in Denver. If this team comes out with 3 of the next 4, boy howdy.
Yep. Well, speaking of ASU, a couple weeks ago or maybe a couple months ago, we talked about a player named Braxton Whitehead, who was the first major junior player to announce a commitment to an NCAA program, and that NCAA program was Arizona State. And Arizona State is now part of history because Whitehead was the first one to do that before any of this was kosher, and it is now a official mandate. CHL players will be eligible for the NCAA beginning August 1st, 2025. This is a massive, massive deal. It's going to probably completely change the landscape of both NCAA hockey, major junior for the CHL, as well as leagues like the USHL, BCHL, and CJHL. I mean, this is crazy, and I still just can't believe that ASU was like is always going to be written down in like the history books as one of the teams involved in this whole thing.
Exactly. Hockey hotbed, Arizona.
What are your initial thoughts on this?
Well, first of all, my initial thoughts are I think it's good for hockey right now. It's funny because 10 years ago I would thought this day would never happen. I still don't know what it means for the future, Leah. I think there's so many people that are confused by this rule. And I don't mean us. I mean NCAA coaches, players. I think there's junior players that don't understand all of the rules and nuances of how this is actually going to work. There's a lot to be worked out yet. But I do believe it gives kids the opportunity to play more hockey. And what I think this is perfect for is I'll give you an example of Mike Barnett was the general manager of the Phoenix Coyotes, and his son. You've
told this story on the show.
Yeah, his son was a really good hockey player at 15, really good hockey player. So he went to the Western Hockey League at 16 years old. Didn't play much because you're 16 and you're small, and it's Western Hockey League and they're big and tough. And by the time you turn 17, you go, maybe I should play college hockey, because I'm more attuned to that style of game. That fits what I am. I want to be a student. I want to do all these things. I'm sorry, you can't because you made a decision when you were 16. Well, I thought that was wrong. I don't think that you should be limited to a decision you made at 16 years old. Now it just ruins the rest of your future. So I think for those kind of kids, I think it's great. What I've heard is, oh my God, what's this going to do to these USHL and all these American kids? Buddy, relax. There's not going to be an influx of 18-year-old Canadians running to go to the NCAA. They're still going to stay in the CHL. They still think that's the better path to make it to the NHL. So I don't think you're going to see this big exodus. What you are going to see is those guys that are fourth-line players in the Western League or in the Ontario League that can't fit in or too small, that now get a new lease on life. And I think that's going to push the hockey to be better in the NCAA. I also think you're going to get guys like we talked about Braxton Whitehead. He's an older than average player. Guy that's not going to go play pro hockey right now, but he gets an opportunity to continue his hockey journey in the NCAA. So I think you're going to see some of those players. Do I think you're going to see players like Connor Bedard? No. It's not going to get that. The guys that believe the path is there, Canadian-born players playing in the CHL, I don't think you're going to change that mindset that they're going to take NCAA as their first option. I just don't. So we'll see. I think there's a lot that's going to be out there over the next few years. It definitely changes the way coaches recruit and how they go after players. But I don't know if we've seen the ultimate impact of what this is going to do for years.
We won't.
The USHL is going to be fine, by the way. They're not going away.
Yeah, and I think this change, and like we kind of talked about when this first was brought up, I think a change like this will benefit ASU specifically, just like the transfer portal benefits ASU where it harms other schools. I think because ASU is such an attractive destination for players, I think it'll actually help a program like ASU. I was reading Chris Peters, who, friend of the show. He does a lot. I mean, he more than anyone understands the landscape of major junior players. He's a great NHL draft expert. But he wrote about, what it could mean for the colleges is more talent, more depth, and that college hockey could be getting older because now there's a chance that players will go to the CHL, play out their full eligibility there, and then come to college. So you might have these kids who are 20, 21 coming into college for the CHL. It could be good for them because it doesn't necessarily mean that people are going to opt into college rather than the CHL. It means that they might do both. And I was actually reading in his article, he talked about that it could even benefit them financially because, and some of it's a little bit over my head, but it has to do with, the education they're providing. If they're going on scholarship to colleges, then that's no longer the responsibility of the CHL. And then for leagues like the USHL, which has, primarily been the place that players go before NCAA. They put out a statement kind of just doubling down that they, produce a ton of college hockey players, like you said. I think they'll probably be fine. BCHL and CJHL, that one's a little different because that up until now has been the top choices for Canadians looking to stay NCAA eligible and not ruin their eligibility by going into the CHL. Those ones, I guess it's a little bit more of a question mark. But the truth is, it's the same. It's almost the same thing we talk about when we talk about NHL expansion. Like, is the talent going to be diluted? There's a lot of talent out there. So this just gives people more opportunities, more unique opportunities. And you can also be in a position where you're not locked in by one decision you made at like 15 or 16 years old. You can make changes to be what's best for you in your career, or even if your career isn't even making the NHL, but just getting to play hockey longer and be part of something and have that as part of your path in life.
Yeah, I think it's positive. I really do. But let's see how it bears out. To your point, a lot of those things, everything you mentioned, like financially right now, if you're a Western League team, you're responsible for paying that kid's education. They thought that would change the landscape. It really didn't. Now, if you have player A, that now you have to pay for his college, but he's going to go down the NCAA. Now I don't have to pay that anymore. Yeah, there is that benefit. Yeah. I think you're going to see what you said. I think the NCAA is going to get better. I think the quality of players is going to get better, but not the top end players. Still, Jack Eichel played NCAA. Clayton Keller played in the NCAA. Like the NCAA, Fantilli played in the NCAA. Like Celebrini, #1 draft pick.
Will Smith.
They're good hockey players. Then you say, well, what this is going to do is going to help the bottom end players. Yeah. It's going to push them up. And so and then people say, well, then the third and fourth liners get screwed. No, because I've talked about the program at Bemidji State often. And we talked about the portal at ASU. Well, ASU is going to get those kids, but now Bemidji State, the smaller schools are going to benefit from this because now there's more good players. And so, yeah, you get pushed off the fourth line of the Gophers. Well, now you can play at the fourth line for Bemidji. Like, I think every college program is going to benefit from this. And then you're going to say, well, now Division II kids are going to get better. Now that program's going to get better. So I do think it's going to be a snowball of just better kids getting the opportunity to play. And I've said this, whether a kid is 5 years old or a guy is 50 years old, just give him an opportunity to play. Play the game, whether it's beer league or learn to skate, give him an opportunity to play. So I think if you have more opportunities, I think it's good for the game. I think this is a good decision, and ultimately we'll have to wait and see what it does over time. But I like it, and I really like it for ASU.
Yeah, absolutely. Roaring Fork said the CHL will get younger and the NCAA will get better. I also think the CHL will end up merging with the USHL. Hot take, and it will be the premier development league in the world. It'll be better to have 15 to 17-year-olds playing in the CHL/UCHL and 18 plus playing against each other in the NCAA. Interesting take.
Could be the USA division.
Yeah.
Well, division.
And Gabriel said would be nice if the Wildcats had a Division I hockey team. Absolutely. I talked about that a lot on last week's show. You can go back and listen with the building of the arena down there. It's my ultimate dream. I think it would be so cool. And also just great for the growth of the game in Arizona. We talk about, especially with the absence of the Coyotes, that's why we're spending so much time talking about ASU, because it's still really good hockey. Just to have that and in Tucson along with the Roadrunners, especially with the Roadrunners future unclear there. I don't know, but it's just crazy to see how much the landscape has changed, because not only now do you have this decision, but like everything with NIL, the transfer portal, just the whole college, everything has for sports has changed so much. So it's an exciting time for the Sun Devils, and like you said, we'll be able to evaluate how this
go watch. We got to walk and talk with them too. I did it a few times.
Who, ASU?
Yeah,
we've been doing it. Check out on our YouTube channel. We talked to Ryan Kerwin. We talked to Coach Powers. Just check out the PHNX hockey playlist on the PHNX Sports YouTube channel. Yeah, you can see all those interviews. Get to know them. Yeah. It's great. It's really fun to follow along. AZ Sports Guy, ASU women beat U of A. That's a big rivalry. Yep. Really exciting that U of A has a women's team now, club, but they didn't have that before. Nope. So again, all these little things where, it's
hockey in Arizona, still here.
In the right direction. Gabriel, I'll send you the link to last week's show. We talked about it for a solid chunk in the middle of last week's show. Or we can talk in the Discord offline.
In Tucson, Gabriel.
Yep. All right. Well, we still have lots to talk about. We're going to get to Alex Meruelo next and a few other little nuggets. All of this coming up next on PHNX Hockey. I talked about it off the top of the show. We're in the Studio K, the Circle K studio, and if you are not part of the Inner Circle, you are absolutely missing out. I'm a part of the Inner Circle, and I save 5 cents every time I go get gas. When you first sign up, you save 25 cents, 3 cents after that, and then you hit the plateau where it's 5 cents every time, no matter what. There's so many amazing other perks as well, such as discounts on food and drinks, Polar Pops, etc. Join the Inner Circle. It's free. The app interface, amazing. I'm always a big fan of the Inner Circle. And you can enjoy your member exclusive beverage deal. Inner Circle members like you can get any size Polar Pop or Froster for just 79 cents. Join the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit circlek.com for details. I talked about it a few minutes ago, but we do have a watch party this weekend at Gila River Resorts and Casinos at Wild Horse Pass. We have a Suns away game watch party, so make sure you come out to that. It's completely free to attend. It's going to be a blast. And speaking of ASU U of A, Petey, we have a territorial cup takeover. I don't know if you heard. I mean, ASU, really, I know. Listen, I'm a Wildcat, but it's hard not to cheer for ASU football this year, especially we got Camp Scadaboo, friend of the program, out here. But the Territorial Cup Takeover is November 30th, presented by Neutral and Branded Bills. There's going to be a pregame meetup at Bourbon Bet in Tucson. Food and drink is included in that, and you also get a game ticket to the Territorial Cup. So it's everything you can possibly ask for in one event. Go phnx.com/events. If you're an ASU fan watching this, like bring it to Tucson. Show your support for the Sun Devils at that event. It's going to be an absolute blast. So make sure you show out, and U of A fans, make sure you defend your home against all the ASU fans. So really looking forward to that. All right. Well, before we get to Meruelo, I just have one little nugget about Leah's former nuggets. Coyotes. Okay. Oliver Ekman-Larsson is playing his 1,000th NHL game tonight.
Fantastic.
Isn't that crazy?
It is crazy. He was just a kid.
It's crazy.
Just a kid here in Arizona. But what's sad, and you see it across this league, is these guys that make it to 1,000 games, which is an unbelievable achievement. Unbelievable to play that many games in the most physical league in the world. But it's so sad that he can't do it here in Arizona. You know, you do it in Toronto where he's played, 18 games?
Yeah. And
he's going to do it in there. I know. We've seen it. And that's everywhere. It's not just OEL. It's every player that's ever done it. Like most of them, they're not Shane Doan, and they don't get the opportunity to do it at the team that they really belong to. So OEL, congratulations. Hope there's many, many more. Got the cup already.
Yeah,
great. Everything's great in your world.
I know it hasn't been an easy path for him, but if you look back at his career as a whole, also just a really great person. He did so much for the community here. Speaking of people doing things for the community, he was a captain here. So congrats to OEL on game 1,000.
Congratulations, OEL. That's awesome.
Well, now we're going to talk about the reason the Coyotes aren't here. This is this is tea. Like, I wish I had a
I think
mug.
it's tea.
I wish I had a mug. Like, we're spilling the tea right now.
But we didn't do the reporting.
No.
I want to preface all that.
Let me credit the LA Times and writers Matt Hamilton and Harriet Ryan. They uncovered all of this.
Yes, this is not Leah and Petey.
No, you can find the article on LATimes.com.
Read the story.
Read the story. It goes into so much detail.
Yes.
But I'm gonna do my best to summarize it for everyone here.
Yes.
And it's funny because, you know, obviously on the show we talked about Meruelo. We talked about Meruelo walking away. We talked about Meruelo in relation to the Roadrunners. We talked about Meruelo in relation to the stuff in Reno. And yet there still seems to be more and more drama. And this is, I guess, old drama, but it's being uncovered for the first time. And it just, again, goes to show. And I think that the biggest takeaway from all of this should be we, as Arizona hockey fans, Arizona Coyotes fans, should be relieved that Alex Meruelo is no longer involved in owning a team here. I know this is a very unfortunate situation. I know we wish we had a team here. I'd rather have it with great ownership. So
yeah,
let that be what I leave this with.
Your preface is we'll wait for Coyotes 2.0 versus 1.0 being run poorly.
Yes.
Fair?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So let me give some background. In California, there's a high school, right? It's in California.
Yeah,
Mater Dei. And
big sports school.
Big sports school. They've funneled a lot of kids through to USC in California. So Mater Dei High School is where Alex Meruelo Jr. went to high school, who at the time was the head of the school, the president at the time. Pat Murphy is his name, who in 2020 became the Coyotes chief of staff and facility operations in 2020 up until the team departed. And he currently holds the same exact title with the Utah Hockey Club. So interesting tie in there. How does the president of Mater Dei end up working for the Arizona Coyotes? Feels like a weird career leap. So Alex Meruelo Jr. is a student at Mater Dei High School. Alex Meruelo Sr. makes a $5 million donation to Mater Dei to the point that the athletics facility there is named after the Meruelos. So you can actually find that. You can Google image that. It is a thing. So, okay. So that's interesting on its own. Mm-hmm. This article dives into, and the article is about more than just the Meruelos. It actually focuses more on Pat Murphy and all the, you know, kids that he tried to help get into USC. There's a lot of interesting things in there about, you know, getting kids in as like athletes, but they're walk-ons, except they never appear on the team. It's a little bit sketchy. Again, great reporting by the LA Times. Read the article for more on that. But for the sake of this conversation, we'll stick with the Meruelos. And in the article, it said, quote, internal USC records show that as the high school's president, Murphy played a significant role in advancing the admission of two young Meruelo family members, and the family had given at least $5 million to Mater Dei. So in the article, it's claimed that by a USC fundraiser told the athletic director at USC at the time, Pat Hayden, that the Meruelos had given millions to Mater Dei, and that Murphy had told her, quote, if the kid got in, Alex would support USC with $2 million. Pause for a second. Does this story sound familiar with some other celebrities a few years ago with USC? Just saying. Murphy denied in an interview that he had made that promise. And Alex Meruelo told the LA Times that no one from USC had ever asked him for money. He said Murphy had requested he make a donation to the university at one point, and he said he never agreed to any sort of gift, let alone $2 million. It's a lot of he said, she said. This is what the LA Times is reporting that was said to them on the record. And in the end, they still admitted Alex Meruelo Jr. as a VIP applicant. So they still prioritized him. They still admitted him. In the article, it said he's a, quote, good, not great student. And Alex Meruelo Sr. never paid the university the $2 million. And when you get toward the end of the article, you come to find out that the university was so frustrated that that promise was never fulfilled that they stopped working with Pat Murphy on these sorts of admissions because they felt like they were promised something that they never got. I don't think this looks good on USC either, but are we all surprised that Alex Meruelo maybe implied that he would be spending $2 million to get his son into USC, got his son into USC, and then never paid the $2 million? Are you shocked?
That's honestly, that's the least shocking thing of the whole story. Like that he said he'd pay something and he didn't.
Well, he says he didn't say he would.
Well, that's right. Allegedly, he said that he was going to pay this money. It is. There are so many things to this story.
That was like the most summarized I could possibly make it. Go read the article.
Lori Loughlin of Hallmark movie fame and the Garage Sale Mysteries spent 2 months in jail.
Yep.
For this
Atomic
exact
Dog
same
just brought
thing.
it up. Yep.
Because she said her daughter was a rowing recruit.
Yeah, Olivia Jade, rowing recruit.
Didn't row. By the way, she quit school because it was boring after the first year anyway.
She doesn't need it. She makes millions.
She's doing just fine on Insta or TikTok or whatever they're doing today. But the point is, like, I understand. First of all, as a parent, because I am one, and my kid getting into school, buddy, you do anything for your kid to get into school. You do. Like, you do anything. If your kid wants something, you'll do whatever you can to help them do that. But you don't break the law. You don't do things unethically. And you also make a path that your son or daughter has to actually earn some shit in life. Oh, stuff.
Sorry.
Has to earn, I'm so sorry. Has to earn some stuff in life, right? That they have to earn it. And I don't know what kind of a message you send to your kid if you pay their way through everything. You pay their way through high school. You pay their way through college. Oh, you want a job in professional sports? I got a plan. How about I buy a team and make you a president of that team, even though you've never had a job a day in your life? Or, oh, Dad, I want to learn about fashion. I got a plan. How about I buy you a fashion label? Like what? At what point have you just raised somebody that now cannot fend for themselves in the real world? I don't know. Like my son, I do everything I can for him. I know people in sports. I tried to get him into sports. Couldn't get into sports. Guess what? He made his own way. Found his own way. Got his own job. Makes his own money. Got his own apartment. Like I do think that's part of a path of growing up. And unfortunately, you see this story, it's going too far. And what bothers me about stories like this, academically, is a student like this, who in the article was said to be a C- student. I'm quoting the article, not me. I don't have his grades or transcript. The article is a less than average student taking up a spot in a prestigious university, taking a spot away from somebody else that earned it through grades and academics and social programs and involved in their school, that did not get in because of a spot taken by somebody who didn't earn their way in. And that's unfortunate. Having said that, this is still the United States of America, and that's the way it works. That's the way it works. Unfortunate, sad, but this is part of the way the world works.
Yeah, Alex Meruelo Jr.
Allegedly.
Per his LinkedIn, I'm on his LinkedIn right now. Alex Meruelo Jr., his LinkedIn still says that he's the chief brand officer of the Arizona Coyotes, by the way. He should probably update that.
The team does not exist.
So,
well, they're still in charge of the Tucson Roadrunners. And that's honestly why we're talking about it.
Yeah.
And people are saying, well, why you? The truth is, the reason there is no longer an Arizona Coyotes hockey team is because of the ownership missteps by Alex Meruelo Sr., period. End of story. It's the personal relationships that got him out of a NHL arena in Glendale, that created him to be in a smaller, non-acceptable arena in Tempe, and he could not get a deal done with politicians, business owners. He couldn't get a new arena. Team left. Whose fault? Alex Meruelo Sr. And when I personally get an opportunity to say that on the show, I'm going to say it. And we've got something we've got to talk about. It's news. Allegedly, he didn't partake in this. Allegedly, didn't know anything about it. Allegedly, it didn't happen.
Yep.
Can I say one more thing?
Yep.
I know Pat Murphy. I know Pat Murphy really well. I like Pat Murphy. I think Pat Murphy's a really good guy. Really nice person. I've had a great conversation with him for years. I just talked to him recently. Now, even since he's been at Utah, his relationship with the Tucson Roadrunners. I like Pat Murphy. I think he's, again, a good human being. I have no idea what's happened here. I'm not going to ask Pat Murphy about it.
No.
I don't think that's my place. I like Pat Murphy. But when I was inside the organization, sitting down in the coach's room with our new ownership group, putting someone in one of the highest business positions in the organization, and you ask, well, what's his experience? Well, he worked at a high school. And we're like, what? Like you usually get those kind of people that have worked in a professional role in an NBA franchise or an NFL franchise or another sport.
Or even minor, like in a minor league capacity.
Or coming over from NASCAR or something.
Yeah.
Worked in a high school. So Pat, I know you listen to the show, and I'm sincere when I say that. Pat listens to the show. He does. And we used to call him the principal. That was our inside name for the principal. Oh, the principal, got to take that to the principal, because that was our little inside joke to him. And I wasn't fair to him as a person. I do apologize to Pat now, because I like Pat. Pat worked really hard. He learned the game, he learned sports, and he did a really good job. And I want to say there are other people that get things handed to him that don't do the work and don't do the time and don't try to get better. Pat Murphy did do that. Yeah. So, and I know Pat's going to hear that. So Pat, sorry for all this going on. And I hope somebody gets to the bottom of it and gets it figured out. Yep.
And by the way, like everything in the article, like I said, was laid out. Pat Murphy denied a lot of the stuff in the article on the record. So did Alex Meruelo Sr. Again, I implore people to go read the article for all the details. I did my best to summarize it. But I think going back to what I said when I introduced this part of the show, we should all feel very relieved that we are no longer tied to an NHL team that involves the Meruelos, because when he left, we talked so much about, the not paying the hotel bills. Like those were real stories.
Real
the way that he treated the employees, the way that people were paid or not paid, the way that maybe the team wasn't treated the way that other teams with billionaire owners are treated in the National Hockey League. That is not an owner that you want in the NHL. And I think the takeaway from the story in the LA Times should be, well, A, USC, somebody needs to straighten them out, because how does this keep happening? But B, like that's somebody who is a sketchy business person, somebody who doesn't care about doing what's right and cares only about how they wield their money and their power in a way that's going to only benefit them and the people they care about, and not about others. And we don't have to deal with that anymore. Yes, he still owns the Tucson Roadrunners. We'll see what happens with that, but we should the takeaway should be that we should all be relieved that the Meruelos are no longer involved in the NHL in the Valley.
You brought up the Roadrunners, and it's interesting because we talked about the building he was building in Reno that I thought was shovels in the ground already. Now is not. And now they're asking for public funds to build an arena that I thought was going to be built by now. It's not. And you start looking at the runway for the Tucson Roadrunners. They have a year left in their commitment to the TCC. Then what? Do the Utah Hockey Club now get their own American League franchise? Do they buy this franchise from Meruelo? Again, opinion. We need to have like a big sticker going across saying opinion.
We are not Craig.
Yeah, this is opinion. I don't think Alex Meruelo Sr. owns the Roadrunners by June.
Wow. Okay.
Maybe sooner.
Interesting. Very interesting. Yeah. And maybe if that's true, we will never have to utter his name again.
No, we'll still utter it.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah.
Because it's fun to talk about him.
Hey, it's fair. Like, it's fair. Like, if it's real stuff, we've seen it. It's fair.
Yep. Well, that's pretty much all we got. Do you have any closing thoughts on the episode before we wrap up?
No, but let's watch ASU and Tucson this weekend, and let's get the hockey back to positivity and the hockey stuff. There was a great tournament last weekend with the Matt Schott Memorial Tournament for all girls across North America.
That's awesome.
Our neighbor had their niece was in it from Alaska.
Wow.
They won the championship from
cool.
Alaska. So some of the best hockey in women's and girls hockey across this country was played this last weekend down in Gilbert. So it's another big shout out to what's going on here in the youth hockey in Arizona.
Absolutely. And the hockey community is still incredibly strong here. Become a diehard today. Join our community. Join our Discord. I saw some of our hockey diehards out at trivia last week. Mm-hmm. Angela was there. CWP. Really great to see. And we got to keep the hockey community strong here. We have to show that hockey belongs in the desert. And that's a t-shirt you can buy at store.allcitynetwork.com. And if you become a diehard today, you can get your Hockey Belongs in the Desert tee for free when you sign up, as well as 20% off on merch and events when you become a diehard. So please do become a diehard and support our friend Patrick Brown, who formerly of the Arizona Coyotes, because he writes our great daily newsletter. You can sign up right now. Go phnx.com/newsletter. It's amazing content. And Patrick does write about the Roadrunners and ASU. So if you want your taste of hockey, you can get it in the newsletter daily, right in your inbox every single morning, free to sign up. So make sure you're doing that. Make sure you're not missing out on all of the great things that PHNX has to offer, because we have a lot. And I know we're just once a week now with the Coyotes gone, but there's so many great shows: Suns, D-backs, Cardinals, ASU, U of A, whatever it is you're looking for, we have it for you. So thank you all so much for being a part of this community, and be sure that you're hitting the like button on this video. Make sure you're subscribing to PHNX Hockey wherever you get your podcasts so you don't miss our weekly audio only episodes as well. You can follow us on Twitter at SPetersHockey, at Leah Merrill, at Shane Deef. You can follow the show on Twitter at PHNX_hockey. That's all from us today, Petey. Until next time, we'll be doing an audio episode later this week, so make sure you look out for that. But in the meantime, everybody, enjoy the rest of your Wednesday, enjoy the rest of your week, and we will talk to you all soon.
We all silly like the mayor.